There's a kind of pain we no longer question because it has been with us for too long. It doesn't scream, it sits, in silence, in the body, in the way we tense our shoulders when we speak, in the breath we hold without noticing. It becomes part of how we walk, how we speak, how we relate. And because we've never named it, we start calling it life. This pain is not about what's happening now. It is the echo of everything we never accepted and never allowed to be fully felt. It is not just sadness, anger, shame. It's what stays when those emotions are suppressed, denied, judged. That residue becomes what the study calls the pain body, a hidden structure, not visible, but very present. We often think suffering comes from what happened, but the real wound begins in our resistance, in the story we tell, in the inner war between what is and what we still wish had never been. That's why two people can go through the same event and suffer differently, because suffering is not about the event. It's about the rejection of it. Jesus said, "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it." Maybe he wasn't only talking about literal death. Maybe he was speaking of the false self, the one that clings to stories, identities, pasts, and the fear of letting them go. Because to let go of that version of you is to die into truth. You can recognize this pain body in how you react, the emotion that feels too big for the moment, the defensiveness that surprises you, the sadness that comes without warning. It's not weakness, it's accumulation, a body full of stories that were never witnessed, never released, never brought to the light. We live defending a version of reality that only exists in our head. And the more we resist what is, the more power we give to what was. The pain body grows in resistance. It feeds on non-acceptance, on judgment, on the mental habit of rewriting the past and fearing the future, all while missing the one place where healing begins now. The truth is, no one causes your psychological suffering but you. Not because others don't hurt you, but because the emotion that stays is the one you hold on to. Sometimes we think we're angry at someone, but we're just unwilling to let go of the story we created about them. We confuse the pain with the person, and the wound deepens. This isn't a message of guilt, it's an invitation to look closer. Because when you see clearly, you stop feeding the story that keeps the pain alive. The moment you begin to accept what is, truly accept, the resistance weakens. And with it, the pain body begins to lose its center of gravity. Not because the pain disappears, but because you stop resisting it. Presence is not a spiritual idea. It's a shift in posture, a return to what is, not what you remember, not what you fear, but what you can feel, see, breathe, hear. And the more you come back to this moment, the less the past can use your mind as its microphone. So let this be the beginning, not of control, not of fixing, but of seeing, of turning the light inward, not to judge what you find, but to hold it with Christ, gently, honestly, until even your pain begins to loosen its grip and the story it once needed no longer feels like home. In real life, the pain body doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly, in how you defend before anyone attacks, in how you pull away before anyone leaves, in how you brace for rejection even when love is being offered. It moves fast, below thought, like a reflex that belongs to an older version of you, but still lives in your nervous system. You may think you're choosing, but if you've never looked at the emotion beneath the choice, you may just be repeating. The pain body survives by keeping you reactive. It keeps you loyal to past wounds, not because you want to suffer, but because suffering became familiar. And what's familiar often feels safer than what's free. Sometimes it sounds like your voice. "They'll never understand me. It always ends like this. I should have known better." These thoughts don't always feel dramatic, just true. But they are not truth. They are echoes of unprocessed pain. And each time you believe them without presence, the pain body grows stronger. Christ did not teach escape, he taught return. Deny yourself, he said, not in violence, but in love. In other words, deny the false self that needs pain to feel alive. Deny the narrative that says you are what happened to you. Deny the lie that freedom can only come after everything is fixed, and follow him into now. You can begin to recognize your pain body in the way your body tenses around certain people, in how you react more strongly than the moment requires, in how you punish yourself for things long forgiven. Pain that hasn't been healed doesn't disappear. It disguises itself as personality, as identity, but it's not who you are. What holds most people back isn't the pain itself, it's the belief that they are the pain. that their wounds are permanent, that their story is final. But Christ came to disrupt that illusion, to say, I make all things new, not by erasing the past, but by giving it new meaning, new context, new direction. He doesn't remove your history, he redeems it. This isn't about emotional perfection. You'll still get triggered, still feel the waves rise, but now you have a choice. Not to suppress, not to avoid, but to see. And in that seeing, to no longer feed what once controlled you. That's not denial, it's discernment. The wisdom to pause, to breathe, to return. One of the clearest signs you're living from the pain body is constant resistance to what is. Everything becomes a fight, against time, against people, against silence. The present moment feels unsafe because it doesn't agree with your internal story. But peace only begins when you stop asking the now to prove the past wrong. When Jesus wept at the tomb of Lazarus, he wasn't resisting the moment. He was fully in it, present, moved, honest, and yet unshaken. He knew resurrection was coming, but he still let himself feel. That's presence, that's power. Not bypassing pain, but walking through it with open eyes, steady breath, and a heart still rooted in God. So as we move forward, let yourself soften. Not to collapse, but to become available. To the part of you that's tired of reacting, tired of pretending, tired of performing strength. That tired part is not your weakness, it's your signal that you're ready. Ready to let Christ sit with you in the middle of the ache and begin not to erase it, but to transform it from within, quietly, gently, together. If the pain body grows in the dark, the first step is light. Not the spotlight of self-judgment, but the gentle light of attention. Begin by observing your reactions without rushing to fix them. When something triggers you, pause. Not to analyze, but to notice. That pause breaks the loop. That pause creates space. And in that space, grace enters. The second step is naming. Not as a label, but as a witnessing. Say quietly to yourself, this is sadness. This is old fear. This is the urge to run. Giving your inner experience a name brings it out of the fog. And once you name it, you can place it in God's hands. Not to suppress it, but to stop letting it speak for you. The third step is invitation. Invite Christ into that exact space. Not as an idea, not through performance, but as presence. Say, inwardly, sincerely, be with me in this. You don't need to be strong. You don't need to be healed. You just need to include him in what is. Because it's not pain that isolates us. It's forgetting we don't have to carry it alone. I remember once feeling an overwhelming weight for no clear reason. I sat in silence, trying to think my way out of it. But thinking only made it louder. So instead, I whispered, Jesus, I don't know what this is, but I want to feel it with you. And something shifted. Not the feeling itself, but the loneliness around it. Presence softened the edge. You don't have to fix your pain to walk in peace. You just have to stop hiding from it. Presence doesn't demand answers. It welcomes honesty. And when Christ is in the room, even the emotional room, things begin to settle. Not because life is easier, but because you are no longer fighting it alone. If this message touched something in you, I invite you to stay close. This channel is not a platform, it's a resting place. A path for people like you and me who are learning to live slower, deeper, more honestly. With awareness, with faith, with Christ not outside of life, but woven into it. You won't always feel ready, you won't always feel clear, but you can still begin. One pause, one breath, one choice to turn toward your pain instead of away from it. And in that turning, you begin to walk, not as who you used to be, but as who you're becoming. Present, open, held. You were never meant to carry all of it alone. You were meant to walk with someone who already knows the story and still calls you by your real name. Not wounded, not broken, just beloved. That's what changes everything. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of love. Let yourself breathe. Let yourself soften. Let yourself be new. Even here, even now. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where grace can meet you. Not to erase your pain, but to walk with you through it. May God bless you deeply. And may you walk awake, with Christ at the center.